Hello everybody! Long time no see. I'm doing fine, but I figured I would make a video just to let you know why I haven't been making videos. And don't worry, this won't be a permanent thing, but there are some actual reasons behind it. I apologize right now, I actually have the flu or something, so I'm constantly sick right now. Runny nose, coughing, sneezing, all that. You can probably hear it in my voice. I sound like 20 years older than I am. So, basically what's been happening is I've had this realization in life that I can't do anything unless I don't do something else. Basically, I have a certain amount of energy, and I used to expect myself to just do more. But now I understand that's not how it works. You have to not do something in order to do something new. Because ultimately, every day, you spend every minute of every day, no matter what, it goes to something, right? So what I've found is that by simplifying my life, I just do a lot more of the things that really matter right now. And really what I have to do is honestly just focus on myself and take care of myself. And what I found is that when I wake up each day and I focus on the first hour of the day doing what sort of matters to me, it's changed my life a lot. So what I've been doing is focusing on three things: myself, my relationship with myself, my relationship with my fiance, and on a Valheim YouTube channel. Actually, I guess four things, because also permaculture. I basically constantly study permaculture now, which is why I'm making this video with the chickens and I'm in a compost pile. Honestly, it's changed my life a lot. I feel like I've found something I can teach people that I truly think is good for them. And that's what I'm getting into with this channel. So I've been thinking about what I want to do with the Nicaragua channel, because up until this point, it's been more about it's been more about showing the cost of living about Nicaragua. And I've really been speaking to foreigners. And don't get me wrong, I know most of you listening, you're a foreigner somewhere. You're not like a local or someone I know, right? You're someone who came to this channel for that kind of content. But for me, I see that basically I've done enough, like really, that you guys know about Nicaragua. And you know that what you see online isn't what this place really is like. But if you don't come here and visit, there's no amount of preparation that'll make it work for you. You have to come to the country, see what it's like, right? And for me, it's an ethical thing, because I look at what my energy goes into, and I know that if my energy goes into something, it doesn't go into something else. So by making content where I'm speaking to foreigners, I'm not making content where I'm helping locals. And for me, especially with what I've learned about Nicaraguan history and what my country has done to the people here and continues to do to this day, I feel motivated. I want to make up for it. I want to do things that actually help people here, but not help them just live like the West, not help them move to the US, not help them do that. I mean, like, help them be more Nicaraguan, help them teach and reach other people in the world so they can show them that Nicaragua is more than what you see online. But I need to empower the local people to do this themselves. And that's what my gut is telling me that's what this channel will probably turn into. I'm not telling you anything with certainty right now, because I'm not going to be making videos regularly on this channel, at least for a while. I'm focused on the other YouTube channel at the moment, and I'm giving it time to really know what I want to do. But as I mentioned, I'm fascinated by permaculture, which is this, basically, it's a way of turning your waste into food. That's the easiest way to look at it. It's a lot easier to reduce your expenses every month than it is to earn more money. So if you can reduce how much you're spending by $100, that's easier to accomplish than it is to earning an additional $100. Because like I said earlier, everything can only happen if something else doesn't happen, right? So with that in mind, that this permaculture thing's something I want to do, and I want to help locals in a more meaningful way, There's also something else, and I want to get more practice with Spanish. And personally, I can't like just read about stuff. I have to actually do things. Then I learn very quickly, incredibly quickly, if I really care. So I see how if I can combine all this together into a series of YouTube videos, I could probably make that work. And what it would look like is my content would focus on permaculture and like growing things in the tropics. And each video, there would be 2 versions of it on the same channel. One for Spanish, and in Spanish, where I speak Spanish, and then one in English. And the reason I want to do it that way is because I sense how most foreigners, they have a really hard time breaking through and reaching locals in a way that you get out of that "you're a foreigner, I'm a local" dynamic. Because a lot of foreigners are like that. Like the locals they know are either like really wealthy Nicaraguans or retired Nicaraguans, or just like maids and plumbers and like workers, you know? And I don't like that. I want to help people actually develop bonds with people, like real Nicaraguan people, not like just people who are trying to make money off of foreigners, who just validate all the foreigners, you know? It's like, I know there's a lot more to it than that. But I sense how foreigners struggle so much to break through. They really do, especially Americans. Like, they really have a hard time getting through all of the crap they've been told and just seeing what's in front of them. Like, truly, they can't really see what's in front of them until it's been like 2 or 3 years. So what's probably going to happen is that I'm going to make content on this channel, and there'll be 2 kinds of videos. And the idea is that I can, that way, be useful to locals because I'm showing them how to get a deeper connection with their plants, how to provide food for their families, and there's a lot of permaculture stuff that I've studied from other tropical countries that isn't applied here in Nicaragua. So there's many things that one can do, even as a so to speak, impoverished rural farmer. There's techniques you can use, there's things you can dig, there's stuff you can do with labor and cement to basically produce whole new crops that you can sell without having to take care of them, and there's all sorts of things. Permaculture is the answer to all of the world's problems. To cut to the point, we live in a world of abundance. We don't need to be paying for food. We don't need to be paying for all these products. And we certainly don't need to be working 8 hours a day just so some company can get rich off of us while we die of heart disease. Like, this is an absurd way to live. The way most people live, it's ridiculous. How are we happy spending more time with companies and workers than our own family and our friends? Like, I get that people just accept that that's life, but it's not. It doesn't have to be. Like, your life as a human should be quite peaceful, calm. If it's not, that's because you're not living a natural human life, you know? We're meant to, like, take care of plants and animals and, like, coexist with things. And when you're separated so much from your food, it makes you mentally unwell. The mind was created to find food. That's why we're intelligent. It's so that we can find food. So when you take out this process of cultivating and growing your own food, even if it's taking care of animals who provide it for you, you take out part of what makes the mind what it is. And therefore it runs in place, it escalates, it makes problems. But it's not supposed to be that way. The human experience is actually incredibly calm, peaceful, and serene. We're just profited off of, and we suffer so much. So, sorry, I'm sick and I've been talking a lot. So obviously that's gotten to me. But there you go. You guys know I'm okay. And there's not going to be any videos here for a while. But I will be getting back into it, but probably with a different approach. And also, I want to pay attention to the kinds of foreigners I'm attracting to the country. If you're listening to this part of the video, I know I can trust you, but I really don't want pro-American people. I don't want to bring pro-American people into the country. I've talked to people who really believe that the US did good things here in Nicaragua. I don't want to attract those kind of people here. Really. Like, I've talked to people who think I'm absurd for even mentioning any kind of problems that my country has caused here. So I have this ethical dilemma, because if I make more content about tourism and places in Nicaragua, and I'm just going to attract more of these people as well. I'm not saying everyone's like that. You guys watching this, you're awesome. Like, these people I'm talking about, they don't watch all, 10 minutes into my videos. Like, really. So I think that by making more content, more about permaculture, what I can do is attract kind of plant people and people who are kind of fed up with wherever they live, and they just want to, like, have some land, take care of it, have some animals, and grow some food. Because those kind of people could do really, really well here in Nicaragua. Whereas if you're, like, really Western and you want a career and all of these comforts, and you, like, want to build your life up and shit, you're gonna come visit Nicaragua and then you're gonna go home. Like, you're not gonna be able to stay here. A lot of people aren't able to stay in Nicaragua. Like, really, they're not. And it's not because of the violence, it's not because of the political situation. That just gives them a reason to leave. The reality is those events affect so few of us living here. I literally live, like, in the same neighborhood as the president, but I would never know. Like, it's so peaceful. I don't have issues. I can have animals. I live in this city. The health inspectors come and they tell me how often to replace the water for my animals so mosquitoes don't go in it. And then they say, they look very happy, and they leave. That's what they do here, okay? In my country, if you have these, you get cease and desist letters if you sell your eggs to your neighbors and someone hears about it. If you have these creatures that turn waste into food, if you have them, you're targeted. You're fined. Some cases you're even evicted. It's absurd. And as far as I can tell, the US is going to go more that direction. So that's why I want to be clear with my content. I want to be attracting people to the country, if I'm attracting foreigners, who actually might stay. And the pattern I've noticed is the foreigners who are kind of fed up with their country and stuff and have an interest in plants or food or farming, these are the people who are much more likely to actually stay in Nicaragua. Whereas if you're just coming for the cost of living, it's probably not going to be a good option for you. Just because it's very different here. Like, it really is. And I've seen that now. Like, the last rant I'll go on here is my perception of suffering of people here in Nicaragua. You should understand, I live in the capital, right? I live in Managua. And it's not like I just stay in my house all the time. I walk around in the streets. I like to experience what things are like. I know most of the homeless people who live near me. I've had conversations with them. I know what they're like. I know a bit about their situations. And I can tell you that people don't seem to suffer as much here. Like, honest to God, it looks like that as a foreigner when you first come here because they don't have as much. Like, material-wise, they just don't have as much. They really don't. Like, less people have AC, less people have everything, really. There's less material distraction. But when you get used to that and you get more comfortable yourself, what I've found is that there's a lot of really genuinely happy people in Nicaragua. And if I walk around, I can interact with them. I'm not saying they're ecstatic, but I can find people who will look me in the eye and I see peace in their face. I see, like, they're not in a rush. They're just living, and they want to tell me about something or ask me about something. And that's it. And I can tell you that when I lived in the US, it wasn't like that. Like, it really wasn't. When I would go out into the streets and go out and look for people and make eye contact, you see drug addiction, you see death, you see gambling, you see prostitution, you see, like, everyone in a rush. It's like, it's just different. Even the homeless people, a lot of them in the US are really addicted to drugs. Like, And I know that just because I shadowed a couple once, and they told me all about it. And they told me like how they get the heroin, how much it costs them, how they find the money, and like here it's just not really like that. People don't do that sort of thing as much. Like honestly, that it's just different. I'm not saying it'll always be like that, but when you get over yourself, what I've found here is that people are very peaceful. They're not in a rush. And that's how I want to live. I want to live around people who have a closer connection to farming and plants and stuff. And that, you can find that here in Nicaragua. But don't get me wrong, like Nicaragua's becoming very Western. And most of the people here, they really idolize the United States. And they have absolutely no idea about the truth of what my country's done here. Like, really, if you want to learn about it, you can watch a video that came out in 1987 or 1986. It was done by PBS Frontline, and it's called War on Nicaragua. You can find it here on YouTube. But just for some reference, it's like basically a summary of the Iran-Contra scandal as it was unfolding. I've shown that to local Nicaraguan people, and very few of them knew much about it at all. So maybe I just have met people who don't really know about it, but from what I can tell, they don't really know their country's history. And they believe the propaganda from the US that, you know, it's all their government's fault. The US did nothing wrong. You know, it's not like we trained terrorists, gave them millions of dollars, taught them to castrate people and stab them in the gut so their families watched them die. We didn't do any of that. Don't worry about that. You know those leaflets that we dropped thousands of out of the sky in the 80s that, you know, escalated and gave you picture instructions of how to put pipe bombs in your police station? And nah, we didn't do any of that. And yeah, that book that we distributed to the Contras, and we suggested in the very end of the book that a good idea maybe would be to hire an assassin to kill one of your friends and then to blame the Sandinistas. Yeah, we put that in a training manual. I'm not lying to you. Like, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And all of this stuff was proven because the International Court of Justice charged the U.S. Like, Nicaragua won, and there were like 6 counts. We were charged with war crimes against Nicaragua, and you know what we did? We threatened to withhold humanitarian aid if they ever brought up again, and we vetoed the reparations because we can do that. So that's what we're working with. That's the reality, and you can say what you want. I know I can trust you, again, because you're this far into the video. The kinds of people that get inflamed about this stuff don't watch that long. But as you can see, this is why, for me, it's gotten to an ethical thing. I see the future, and I see the kinds of energies I can bring here, and I don't want people who don't acknowledge this. It's absurd, and especially seeing how the young Nicaraguans are just used by my country, and how they're made to fight their parents, and how my country destroys their families, all in these dumb ideologies that only serve to harm the person. It's tragic. Like, really, it's tragic. And I think the only thing I can really do, because there's no point in spreading the truth. Like, people just get angry or they don't believe you. Like, nothing happens. I have to figure out how I can reach these people. How can I help families in Nicaragua stay together so that instead of the breadwinner going to the United States and separating the family and getting in some affair or something, or finding a new family, they stay in Nicaragua and they earn money? How can I help mend what my country has done to these people? That's what I'm trying to figure out, okay? Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're interested in having a consultation, I still offer those. I love speaking about Nicaragua. If you want to do that, I have nothing against that. You know, I'm just sick right now, so I apologize. I'm kind of out of it. And if you want to do one of those calls, they're $20 per 30-minute session. And you can just go to calendly.com/Jack Dermot Pittman in the link in the description of the video below and set one up. You don't need to tell me anything. I literally just get an email and then I show up to the call. They're done through Google Hangouts or Google Meet, but we can change it to WhatsApp or Zoom or whatever you want. Just write the note in the section when you fill it out, okay? All right, everybody, thanks for watching, and as always, have a good one. Bye.